A wonderful morning to everyone who has joined today. From Manage Engine family, we would like to extend our warm welcome and sincere thanks to all our customers, partners, and users who are interested in our solutions. Endpoint management and security is one of the main focus areas of Manage Engine. So in today's training, there will be two trainers. Let me introduce myself. My name is James, and I'm a product specialist with Manage Engine. I take care of the endpoint management products, including Desktop Central. I assist customers in their implementation, consultation, and troubleshooting in case of any challenges. I've got my colleague, Ruben, who's a senior product specialist with Manage Engine 2. Welcome to Desktop Central training. Let's look at the training schedule. We are on week 4 now, and we'll be looking through asset management for modern devices, that is Windows 10, 11, and Mac devices. This is one of the modules of our endpoint management and security suite. We have covered a couple of modules over the past weeks, and we are currently running on week 4 training. In case if you have missed any of our training schedules, you can always view them on the link that is shown at the bottom of the screen. If you are interested in the upcoming training, please use the same link to register yourself. A good news, we are providing a training participation certificate upon completing the entire training series. So, participate on all the upcoming trainings as well and get your own training participation certificate. Now, let's look at the asset management module today. Let me also talk about the agenda. So we will have a quick overview on Desktop Central, and we will also discuss on how to identify unauthorized application and have it uninstalled. We will also look on how to manage software licenses and integration with Service Desk Plus, one of our ticketing solution. And we will also be discussing on how to deploy corporate profiles to modern devices like Androids, iPhones, tablets, Windows 10 devices, all that. And we will also discuss on how to manage the contents for all these modern devices, and I have some frequently asked questions as well. So in today's training, I will be using Desktop Central Server build version 10.1.2137.14. Okay, and the application supports on all the browsers. So to make this session interesting, I've taken a scenario where John is responsible to manage a distributed workforce, both that are within their local area network as well as wide area network, meaning managing branches or managing roaming users, work from home users, all that. So consider the head office is at Dallas, and he has branch offices in Sydney, Chennai, London, Bogota. And as you could see on the slide itself, I've mentioned, the bandwidth limitations as well. So John has to consider these bandwidth limitations too. And we also have, John to manage endpoints over the cloud platform as well within the same scenario. So I will be explaining in detail within our upcoming slide. So what is Desktop Central? Desktop Central is an endpoint management solution that ensures all your endpoints are secure and enables the users to use them effectively for business. A popular research analyst called Forrester defines UEM as follows, okay? Products that provide a centralized policy engine for managing and securing employee laptops and mobile devices from a single console. In unified endpoint management, you can manage endpoints in an traditional IT fashion as well as modern management. When I say traditional IT management fashion, this includes patching, where you can push Windows or Mac or Linux updates, and also the third-party application updates, application management, configuration deployment, OS deployment, tools for troubleshooting, and day-to-day management activities. Similarly, endpoints can also be managed with modern capabilities. All modern operating systems support modern management. It supports features like geo-tracking, geo-fencing, managing store applications, profile distribution to enforce restrictions, operating system reset and recovery. Hence, with Desktop Central Unified Management, you will be able to manage desktops, laptops, mobile phones, tablets, servers, point of sale devices, and browsers. All this from a single console. The Desktop Central is recognized in 4 top 2021 IDC MarketScape reports for UEM. We are also recognized as a 2021 Gartner Peer Insight Customer Choice for Unified Endpoint Management. So we support Windows, Mac, and Linux, as well as Android, iPhones, tablets, Chromebooks, etc. Please find the list of supported operating system on the screen. Remember, the application server runs on the Windows platform, but you can manage the endpoints with Windows or Mac or Linux operating system. In case if you have any question, you can always reach out to support. Please refer to the email address shown on the bottom of the screen. During the presentation, during our training, if you have questions, please do use the chat. We have a specialist, to answer all your questions. Now, why do enterprise need asset management? So I've got the first 4 important things. First thing is to keep a track of all the software and hardware assets in your organization and managing software licenses. And you have to be compliant and audit ready at all times. And you need an in-depth detailed report whenever there's an audit or whenever there's a need, you need an in-depth report. Now, as soon as you install the Desktop Central agent, what kind of data is collected during the scan? So instead of going through the presentation, let me quickly take you guys back to the console to show you what are the data that we collect. So I'm going to go to the inventory section here and computer. So if I click on a machine's name, you will get the complete picture, okay? Like the disk usage, OS summary, service tag serial number, expiry date will be automatically fetched from vendor website through APIs, system information like services that are running on this machine, user details, groups that are created on this machine, drivers that are used, and whether it is working okay or not. If there is a problem, then you will also see that the drivers are not working, and you will have a remarks with a 3 KB article to troubleshoot. And then you will also have the shares that are created on this machine, hardware details, what kind of hardware being used, whether the hardware is working okay or not, software that are currently installed and used. If you find unauthorized application, you can even have it uninstalled from here. Certificates that are used on this machine and their expiry date as well. And file details, like what kind of files they have, whether MP3, movie files, office files, photos, all that details will be shown. Security information, whether BitLocker is enabled or not. If it is enabled, you can fetch the recovery key from the console itself. And antivirus information, whether if you're using Windows Defender or a third-party antivirus, which one is enabled, whether it is up to date, what version it uses. Same goes with firewall too, whether if you're using Windows Firewall or a third-party firewall. And USB audit will tell you what kind of USB device is being plugged in and used. And if you'd like to show the end user an alert whenever they plug in a USB device, or if you want to block the USB, you still have an option here to do that. And so these are all the, and along with that, you'll also get user logon details and geolocations, which we will discuss during the modern, modern management features. So now you will get all these information, right? When does this scan happen? That's the first question here. So the initial scan, the first full scan happens as soon as you install the agent. You can find that setting here under the agent setting, and you can see it here, actions to be performed after agent installation. So there's a one-time full scan that happens as soon as you install the agent. Now, what if there's a software installed after the scan? When will I get it? So there will always have to be a schedule. Agent posts this information every 90 minutes. However, there will be a differential scan that needs to be scheduled on a regular basis. So you can also find that here under the inventory schedule scan. You can just configure it here based on your requirement, either to do a daily scan or a weekly or monthly. But remember, this is a differential scan, not a full scan. This is to avoid network bandwidth issues. Right now, so as I mentioned, this presentation or this slide shows the same thing. So you install the agent, you get a full scan on the first scan, and after that, it will be a periodical differential scan. Now, how do I identify unauthorized applications in my network? So there's two things, okay? One, we have an option here that says prohibit software, which allows you to create a rule. If you say these are unauthorized applications, say for example, torrents or internet download manager or any tool that you consider as vulnerability, if you want to block them, you can use this prohibit software. This basically allows you to configure a rule first, and then this if the end user uses this application, they'll get a pop-up immediately on their screen saying that it's an unauthorized application, and if you want to uninstall it, you can have it automatically uninstall it as well, and the end user has the ability to send a request if they have a valid reason to use their application, and based on this administrator's confirmation whether to use them or deny them, based on that, the end user will be able to proceed from there. Now, let me take you guys back to the console on how to do that. So first thing is you have to add a rule, right? So you just have to click on add prohibit software, and you can search for the application name here. And once it is added, in here, we will be able to show you the number of machine that has this application installed. And you can also see here, it says 7-zip group instead of a specific version. You might ask me, why is it like this? In your network, it's not going to be just one version of 7-zip. There will be multiple versions of 7-zip, right? And instead of creating multiple duplicate entries, you can group all of them in a simple one group, and then you can add that group as a prohibited software. So how do I group those software? You can go to manage license here, and then group software, and then here you have this option to group all your multiple versions of the software, and that group name can be defined while you create the rule. You can go to prohibit software, click on add prohibit, and select that particular application. Okay, and once it is identified, you will be able to see the number of machines that has this application installed, and the end user will also get a notification on their screen. Let me show you on the slide here. So this is how the screen will look like when they get a notification, and they will also have an option to send an email and send a request to you. Now, this request will be shown to you on the console here under the user request tab. And sorry, I do not have that option shown at the moment, but under the action tab, you will be able to see approve or deny. If you approve them, they get to use this application. If you deny them, based on this auto uninstall policy, the application will be automatically uninstalled. And the notification message is configurable by you. It's an editable field. You can put your own message as well. Now, this is to uninstall an application which is already installed, which you consider as a prohibited software. But let's say you have a scenario. In our organization, we have only 10 approved software. Only these software should be used. End user should not install or use any new application. How do I do that? How do I prevent end user from installing an application? For that, we have a security add-on called application control. Again, I'm repeating, this is an add-on. So using this application control, you have the ability to create your own whitelist and blacklist application. So if you say I have only 10 applications that are approved within our organization, you can just add that rule. You have to group it, and then you can add them as a rule. And this rule can be based on vendor name, product name, executable, file hash, folder path. It's a combination of all, or you can go with a specific vendor too. For example, I'm going to allow Adobe, and I'm going to allow the Microsoft applications, Apple applications, and my antivirus Kaspersky. So once I create this policy, I can associate this policy to a group of devices. If you say I have different teams, each team will have different set of approved software, then you can also group all those machines here under the admin. And then you have this option called custom group. You can group all of them, and that group can be defined here as a target. Or you can simply choose all computers group, meaning all the computers that have an Ethan install. Hope my explanation is clear so far. Remember, guys, if you have any question, please use the chat to get your questions answered. Okay. Now once you have the group selected, and then you have to choose the approved list that you created, and we have strict mode and audit mode. And strict mode in the sense, only the approved softwares will be allowed, even if they have an existing application on their screen, which we will call it as gray listed application. Those applications will also be restricted if it's a strict mode. But if it's an audit mode, it allows them to use the approved software and the gray listed applications as well. But on both the scenarios, end user will not be able to install any new application. Even if they have a portable exe, it will be straight away blocked and they will get this message on their screen. If you want to put your own customized message, you can also do that. And if the end user has, a reason to use it for a time being and they need to use this application, you can also provide temporary access for that application to be used. So this is an add-on, guys. That's how you manage unauthorized application. Either you prohibit the application under the inventory, or you can have this application control to get more granular functionalities. Next thing is how to manage licenses. When it comes to license management, I have to be honest with you. The license management that we provide is a workaround. I mean, in Desktop Central, we do not have the option to validate if this license is a valid one or a pirated version. Because most of the license, I mean most of the vendor, they encrypt the license file, which cannot be read by a third-party vendor like us, or it will be a subscription based. You install the application and then you subscribe, right? So based on this reason, we won't be able to validate or fetch this information. But what we provide is, if you say I have purchased software and I have purchased like 100 license, you just have to add them as a rule. Remember the group software option applicable here as well. If you have multiple versions, to avoid duplicate entries, first create the group and add that group here. So you can click on add license, select the group that you created, and then you just have to mention the number of license you purchased. Say for example, if you say I have purchased 100, now once you add the rule, we will scan your network machines and see how many machines has this application installed. Based on this network scan, I mean the managed endpoint scan, you will get the number of endpoints that has this application installed. So you will get a difference in count, like total purchase and number of machines that has this application installed. And when it goes more than what you purchased, you can generate an alert. So you can go to configure alert here, and then you can mention the percentage limit. So when it goes more than what you add under the managed license rule, this will trigger an alert to you, so that you can check which machine has this application, when was it installed, every single information. All right. So that's how you manage licenses as well. So as I mentioned, this is how you do it. You just have to add a rule in the number of license purchased, and then number of network installation, and you will get a difference in count. And you will also can get an alert based on the number of percentage that you mentioned under the schedule alert option. Hope my explanations are clear. Guys, if you have any questions, do not hesitate. Kindly use the chat window to ask your questions. Now, the next thing we are going to discuss, it's about integrating with Service Desk. Now, what is Service Desk? Service Desk is one of the managed engine tool, which is capable of giving you a ticketing solution, and then it will be used for again incident management, change management, lifecycle management, and it will be a complete asset management suite for you. Okay. Now, how do I integrate Service Desk? Now, the Service Desk will be integrated to Desktop Central by using a API key. Okay. Now, how do I fetch an API key on the Desktop Central? You can simply go to the admin tab here, and then you have this option called API key generation. You can generate the key. Once it is generated here on your Service Desk Plus console, let me switch to my SDP console real quick, just a sec. So it's basically getting API keys from both the applications, and then updating the same information on like Service Desk API on Desktop Central API on Service Desk. Okay, that's how you integrate. And what are the functionalities we get? I'll quickly show that to you in a minute. So once you log in, sorry about that. So once you log in, right, like after you integrate, you get all the functionalities on the Service Desk Plus itself. You don't need to switch console like from Desktop Central to Service Desk. You can simply access everything from the Service Desk Plus console itself. Just a moment, let me log in. My apologies. So once you integrate, right, you get to see all the Desktop Central modules within the Service Desk Plus itself. So you don't have to switch. Now, how do I get an API key from Service Desk? On your Service Desk console, if you click this icon, you have this option called API key generation. You just have to copy this key from here, and then once you have the key, copy it, and then go to the Desktop Central console, and in here, go to admin, and then under the Service Desk Plus settings, you can just modify here, which I've already done. So once you add this API key, you can get the asset details from Service Desk Plus, from Desktop Central to be posted on your Service Desk, and you will also have the option for the end user to raise a request of using the Desktop Central agent. Normally, you can just right click the agent icon, and the end user can send a request to the help desk that will be created on your Service Desk Plus. Okay, and within the tool itself, you should be able to deploy softwares or pushing out patches, or if you want to give them a remote support like advanced remote control, everything is possible from your Service Desk console itself. Okay, so that's the major benefits that you get when you integrate Service Desk Plus with Desktop Central. And is it just the Service Desk Plus that we support? No, we also support Spiceworks, Zoho Creator, ServiceNow, Zoho CRM, Zendesk support, Jira. All these can be integrated with Desktop Central. Okay. Now let's quickly talk about the Desktop Central architecture. Desktop Central, as I mentioned in the beginning, is a client-server model application and an on-premise solution. You can have the Desktop Central hosted in any of the supported operating system. This architecture talks about how you can manage endpoints that are both within your local network as well as wide area network. You can even manage different remote locations from one console using the same single console. They can connect either over the internet or using a VPN or MPLS connection. And for the machines that are present in the remote site, which are connected over direct internet connection, you can also use a component called Secure Gateway, which is here. You can see this will add one more security layer for the agent to server communication when it comes to managing an endpoint that's not within your infrastructure. And when it comes to remote location where you have more number of endpoints within the office itself, we have a component called distribution server, which is used to throttle bandwidth for the data traffic between the central server and remote location. We will talk about this in detail as we go into the training. We can choose to have the machines communicate either directly with Desktop Central server or along with the distribution server. You will be able to manage all your mobile devices using Secure Gateway as well. With Desktop Central, you can manage multiple domains as well as per groups. You can deploy configurations targeting Active Directory groups or OUs, or based on custom groups or a specific computer name, IP address, IP range. All these things are possible while you define your targets. Now, Desktop Central is also available in AWS Marketplace and Azure. In case you are looking to host Desktop Central in any one of the cloud server, you can have the Desktop Central application hosted in Azure as well as AWS Marketplace. Also, we started supporting Desktop Central in our own Zoho Cloud. So if you want to subscribe and use the cloud platform of Desktop Central, please use the link which is shown at the bottom of the screen, and you can start using the Desktop Central from our own Zoho Cloud itself. Now, we will discuss about how to deploy profiles through MDM. My colleague Ruben will be taking over from here. Ruben, over to you.
Thank you, James. Let me share my screen and take over. All right, I just enabled the screen sharing. So before we move on, please confirm once again if you're able to hear my voice and able to see the presentation clearly. All right, may wait for some more confirmation. Thank you. All right, let's see about how you could deploy certain basic profiles to your Windows laptops and MacBooks followed by. And before I show you how and what settings you can deploy through our MDM, let me show you what are the MDM asset tracking which we would do for your laptop. So James might have explained or showed you how the hardware and software details will be collected from the desktop central inventory. Whereas when it comes to MDM, that is mobile device management inventory, you could find out the basic information about the laptop, like what is the version installed on the device, and the UDID serial number information can be seen, and the list of apps. So these are not MSI or EXE application. These are the App Store, the Apex files, which is installed on those machines can be seen under the mobile device management inventory, and also what certificates have been installed on the machine and what restrictions you have applied. You can also restrict camera and Wi-Fi settings and so on, which I will even show you in the upcoming slides. So these are the restrictions which has been applied to this computer, which as an admin can see that under the inventory of MDM. And the best part here is you can also find out the location of your laptops too, like how you do it for a mobile phone or a tablet. Same way, you do have the options to find out the location of your laptops, which runs on Windows 10 and 11, and also the MacBooks. And additionally, you'll also be able to do these remote actions. You can do a complete wipe on your laptop and a corporate wipe, which will only remove whatever apps and data you have distributed through the solution can only be removed off when you do a corporate wipe. Say if you're managing any personal BYOD devices, you might be able to make use of this corporate wipe options for it. So these are certain inventory actions which you could do it from the MDM side. Like unlike what are the actions you could do it for desktop central inventory, like prohibiting software, software usage statistics, and so on. Within MDM scope, you have these options. Now let's get back to the topic of how you could distribute certain basic profiles like Wi-Fi settings, VPN, email configurations to your laptops, and how we can do some security hardening through the restrictions available in the MDM profile. And even if required, if you have any point of sale devices, how you could lock your devices with only certain apps to be visible. So let me show these three options now. For that, you can go to MDM tab again, go to management section. You will have profiles here where you could customize or create a profile based on the business need. You could create multiple profiles based on the business purpose. So let me choose one and create one for Windows now. Let's say I'm creating a profile for Windows webinar session. And so there are a lot of options you could see. And first thing comes about the passcode. Like additionally, along with your Active Directory passcode, you can also choose what type of passcode end users can configure on the device, whether it should be a 6-digit passcode and how frequently you want them to change. Like say I want my users to change the password every 3 months. I'll choose 90 days as a default policy. And for safer side, like security hardening aspect, if in case if the laptop is lost or stolen, and if someone tries to break into the computer by entering wrong passcodes, and I want them to give a chance only for 6 times. So, like say you can even customize the count based on your need. Like if the users enter the wrong passcode consecutively for more than 6 times, it do an automatic reset. Make sure the information, the data available on the laptop is not lost or stolen. So you could make use of this passcode policy and deploy to all your laptops using the MDM profile management section. So that is something about the passcode. And initially, like once when a new laptop has been brought into the system, and you wanted to distribute certain applications and policies, you might be able to make use of this Wi-Fi and VPN configurations on all. Even say whenever a laptop comes within the corporate network, especially if you're using if you have an hybrid work environment, And whenever the user comes to office premises, and if you want to automatically connect the laptops to a Wi-Fi, you can mention the Wi-Fi SSID you guys use, and also mention what type of protocol you're following for your Wi-Fi connections. If you're using any certificate-based authentication, you also use the appropriate communication type and create a profile. And not just one Wi-Fi SSID, you can also add multiple Wi-Fi profiles, say one I'm creating for corporate profile and another one for the guest users. And that is going to be based on certificate authentication. So I can create a profile so that whenever a user comes within the corporate network and if the guest Wi-Fi profile is accessible to them, it gets auto-connected. So I can create a profile like that and be able to distribute it as well. So passcode, Wi-Fi, VPN, you can choose the list of VPN clients you want to connect your devices with, and mention the server name and IP address. And also, if you want your laptops to connect to your corporate network when they use Outlook. So whenever they use Outlook mail, I want them to be connected to through the corporate network. So likewise, you can choose the required applications to connect with the VPN as well. So these are certain settings which you can customize based on your business needs. And email, even if you're using Office 365 or Exchange on like Microsoft Exchange on-premise server for your mail purposes, you can also choose the appropriate protocol and be able to pre-fill these information. Say I'm using Office 365, and when I distribute a profile like this, what will happen is I can even choose the content type to be synced automatically with the users. So automatically, when the users, when they open the mail app on the laptops or on the devices, it just pre-fills the username. So whatever username is being assigned to a laptop or a Windows mobile, it gets pre-filled. The user just needs to enter the passcode and sign into their mail application. So this will simplify the user jobs even. So you can remotely configure your mail servers, and even if you're using any other third-party mail services, you'll be able to mention that as well here and be able to enter the mail server host details and be able to remotely distribute these settings to your devices. So that is something which I wanted to show you or for Windows profile. And the last one is about the kiosk settings. This is where if you have any point of sale devices and you want your laptops to connect only to certain applications, like say whenever the users unlocks the laptop, they should only see these 4 applications. So I can create a kiosk with multi-app mode, and I will choose those 4 applications only. And you can publish the profile. Remember, you should always publish the profile in order to distribute the devices. So you can save the required settings. And it is always recommended to test these profiles with 1 or 2 devices first, and then you could go with a group-based or a bulk deployment. So let's assume I'm selecting this device and I'm going to distribute the profile which I've just created. I can choose Windows webinar, which we just created. So I can deploy this profile, make sure the laptop is locked with those 4 applications. They have the email configurations updated and the Wi-Fi settings and all. And then if it's working fine, then I'll go with the group-based deployment, select all the required group, and I'll be able to distribute the profiles accordingly. So that's how you distribute the profile and test it with the required devices. And this is how the device will even look like if it has been locked with the kiosk mode. So that is about Windows. And for Mac, same way, you can create Wi-Fi, VPN, and proactive policies to secure the corporate data. Let me quickly give you a walkthrough on the Mac profiles as well. So similarly, you go to the Management tab, go to Profiles, you create a Mac OS profile. And the same inventory actions can also be seen for Mac OS. So where you can find out the location and also be able to wipe them. And you can also check about the firewalls, encryption keys, and the firmware password details additionally. So I'll even show that to you. Go to inventory. These are the Mac OS I have. So under security settings, if firewall has been enabled or firmware passcode has been applied to these laptops, you can also see those information, locate them. and be able to wipe them, and even you can unlock the user accounts being signed in on the devices. So these are the Mac asset details which you can see. And to get back to the topic, where you can create the profiles. So for Mac OS, unlike, you can also create a passcode based on the requirement you have, like what should be the minimum passcode length and what should happen if someone enters a wrong passcode, and whether you want to restrict the users from changing the passcode, and a maximum passcode age. Like this, you can choose a passcode policy, Wi-Fi, similar story. Restrictions, you can restrict cameras, screenshots, and iTunes file sharing, application install, um, and iCloud settings. So you can restrict all of these options on your MacBooks. VPN, these are the list of VPNs we support for MacBooks as well. So you can choose the appropriate VPN client you use and be able to remotely configure that on your MacBook. And additionally, what I wanted to show you for MacBooks are, you have this PPC policies like privacy preference control, which you can make use of it to remotely configure it. Like say you use Zoho Assist, the Zoho meetings for connections, or say TeamViewer or any type of remote tools, you'll always have to go and approve the privacy preference controls for allowing the users to take, like say, even the administrator to take control on the user's mission. So what you can do is you can choose the application identifier here and choose the required permissions to be granted on the devices. Like say, I can choose the accessibility to be allowed, and the photo access, and whatever permissions you want to give for this particular application, you'll be able to pre-configure them and deploy that to all your MacBooks. So if you have hundreds and thousands of MacBooks, you'll be able to remotely configure these privacy controls on those devices. Same way, system extensions, even if you want to provide that as well, you can do it. So be it any settings you go with, you always have the help article in the profile section. So you can always click on this help article to know about the particular profile section. Like say, if you want to know about what a system extension and what's the benefit of it, you can click on the help article, know about the policy here, and also how we can configure. There are pictures even to explain the document better. And same way for PPC controls, you can click on help article, know about what it is and how we can configure that. And you do have web content filtering, that if you want to block websites, you can also do that. And whether you want to block it via firewall or advanced settings, you can choose that as well. And additionally, say this would be helpful because when say if someone tries to break into your Mac machine and get hold of the corporate data, how well you can prevent it. As a proactive measure, it is always better to encrypt your laptops using the firewall encryption, which is pre-configured or supported within our MDM. You can either go with the personal level recovery key and choose whether to be displayed to the user or just no. If not, institutional level recovery key where you can use a certificate to encrypt your laptop. If not, I would recommend you to go with a combination of both. You could lock your laptops with the personal recovery key and also with a certificate basis. So that is one thing you can create. And you have the options to create a certificate based on your domain need. You can create one and add it here. And same way, you do have firmware password protection. So in case if someone tries to boot up the computer using an external device, like apart from the default startup disk, if any other device has been used to break the computer, unlock the MacBook, that will prompt a password which you can configure here. You can configure secure passcode and use that to unlock a device, even if you want to troubleshoot, or if the device gets hacked, you want it to unlock or open up the MacBook. You can make use of these firmware password which you set it, and as an admin can only see those information through the portal. So these two policies, like firmware password and firewall encryption, will really help you to prevent MacBooks through this MDM policies. So that's something you can make use of it. And as I mentioned, only the administrators can see those informations from the MDM inventory tab. So they can go to the device name, they can click on the device name and be able to see the security settings, where if it's been enabled, you can check those status here. And now let me show you how we can also securely distribute the corporate data. Like say, if you want to share a file or folder or any documents and you want that to be only visible for the users, I don't want them to download or duplicate or modify it, then you can very well use the content management feature available in our product. You can go to the section under management tab. You can add the required document, audio, video, images, any set of files. You can upload them here. And so whatever file you add will only be available for the users to see within the content management. Like say, when I open the MDM app, so this is how it looks like. And so once after I add uh, the documents like this, you can choose whether you want to give permission for the users to download the file or not. So based on your input, whether even same way, whether you want to allow the users to modify or not, you can choose the required permissions you want to assign it to the appropriate file you have added, and then you can share it with the users. Like I can select the required files and share it. And when I do this way, as I mentioned, the users can only go to the content catalog available within the app on the devices. They can download and they will only be able to modify. They cannot download it, edit it, or even take a snapshot of it. Like these are the functions which will be disabled within the app. So this is a secure way of sharing the documents through the solution. And additionally, users can even uh, find out the categories. So even if you want, when you share a file, if you want to tag certain categories to those files, you do have an option for it. So these are the list of files which has been distributed, and you can download and see them. And as I mentioned, you can only view but not able to download or modify it. And then, as I mentioned, you can also choose or find out the category. Say if you are sharing files related to um, IT, income tax related file submissions or auditing related files. Likewise, you can choose different categories and then share the content to your end users. So this is a way which will help you to securely share the files and folders through the content management feature in our MDM. And then let me show you about the geo tracking feature, which you can make use of it. That also comes under the MDM inventory, where you can choose how the device needs to be tracked, whether you want to track only the current device location, or whether you want to track it for all your device, or only when it has been marked as lost. So you do have a mode called lost mode, which will completely freeze off the phone. And that will, I'll be explaining that in the upcoming slides even. So you can choose whether to track the devices all the time or only when it has been marked as lost. And whether you want to track it for all your devices or only selected group of devices, you can choose that as well. And only you want to track the current location, or you want to track even the location history. So whenever a user moves to 100 meters or 1 kilometer, I want to see that entries even. So I want to track where exactly the users have been traveling so far. So if you want to track your devices in such a way, you can customize based on your business need and save the required geo tracking settings. Once that is done, you can also go to the location data to see the current location of all your devices. So this will give you a summary of all the devices under a single map. Let me even on the other map. I'll be able to check the current location of all the devices and click on the device name to perform certain on-demand commands even. So these are certain options which you can make use of it. The current location, and also if you want to track down the location history, you can go to the devices, click on the individual device name, and go to geo tracking, where you will have the location history. So if you want to know where exactly the user have traveled on so and so day or days, you will be able to see that. If a user have traveled to 1 kilometer radius, I'll be able to check the new entry as well, added to that device detail. That's something you can make use of it. You can see that the user have traveled to 3 different locations on the same day. They can see where exactly they have traveled to. Likewise, you'll be able to see the location history as well. So these are the location settings which I wanted to describe. And next, you do have an option to restrict the devices from leaving a certain area. Like say, so far I've shown you what are the geo tracking settings you can configure and make use of it. Additionally, you do have an option to lock your devices within a particular location boundary as well. Like up to 500-kilometer radius, you have the fence policy, which you can tie up to your devices. First, you'll have to create a fence repository. Like say, I'm creating a fence um, like say around US, I want to lock the devices within 50-kilometer radius. So I can choose it this way. Let me go to my web server to create a fence. This map is not getting loaded now. Yeah. You can choose any locations as per your need, and like say, you can choose the required latitude and longitude details. Even you can manually enter. It's not up to 500 kilometers, as I mentioned. So you can lock your devices up to 500-kilometer radius, and you can choose what should happen if the device moves outside this range. I can even show that. Yeah, so I can choose any locations you want, and like say if the user wants to move outside this range, you get an instantaneous alert. The alert can be triggered, and also an alarm can also be generated on the devices. You can enable that option even. And if they don't come back to the fence or to this repository within a day, the device will also get a factory reset. You can delete all the corporate data available on the devices as well. So that is something you can make use of it using the fence policy. First, you have to create a fence using the location map, as you could see. You can manually enter the location data. If not, you can even manually enter the latitude and longitude details and create a fence. And then go to fence policy and to choose to which area you want to tie up this policy to. So whenever the user moves outside the geofence, immediately I want to get alert about that. So I'll choose my email address to be notified about it. And immediately I want to lock the device as well. I'll choose the options to enable the last mode, which will completely freeze off the phone. And also it will ring an alarm on the devices. When the device leaves the geofence, I can choose that option too. And after a day, if they don't come back, I'll even go ahead and choose the options to completely wipe the device too. So that is something you can make use of it using the geofencing policy. So this way, you can make sure the device doesn't leave the office premises or the particular area you wish. It's all based on the business use cases you can create. And I want to show you how we can also secure the devices when it is lost or stolen. The first thing, whenever a user reports that his device is lost, that it's been stolen or is misplaced, you can just go to the inventory tab under MDM, click on the device name, be able to initiate a location tracking. So first go and click on locate device to know the current location of the devices. If not, you can also make use of this remote alarm options that you can even generate an alarm on the device to check whether the device is nearby or it's been misplaced somewhere within the office premises. And then you do have a mode called last mode. Let's pick another device. So this one, when you enable the last mode, it completely frees off the phone. The only option the users can do is to call the number, whatever you're going to specify here. And you can also customize the message. When the device has been lost, please call me on. They can choose whatever message you want to display on the screen, and that will only be available for the users to see. So whoever has the device, when this mode is being enabled, it completely frees off the phone, and they will only be able to call the number. Even if the charge goes down, when the device is connected back, it will still come back to this very same screen. So no option will be available for the users to use. They cannot put the device into airplane mode, or they will not be able to turn off the device. No functionality will work, and the users can only see the screen unless and until the administrators goes and disable the mode. So that's how you can lock your devices when it has been lost or stolen. You can, and even for safer side, if you want to wipe the corporate information, so if there are sensitive data available on the devices and you want to safeguard that, you do have an option to remotely initiate a corporate wipe on those devices as well. So these are a couple of options which an admin can make use of it when the device is reported as lost or stolen. And this is how the screen would even look like on the end user on the device end. Now, I want to share you some real-time scenarios which I have faced in the support experience as well, and the best solutions to approach to those questions. The first use case I've taken is about the Active Directory. So some clients do have AD, that is Active Directory services, to manage users. However, when it comes to MacBook, they want to know whether it is possible for them to add the MacBooks as well into the AD, because when it comes to Active Directory, you do have options to define policies and even software configurations to your Active Directory groups and OUs. So whenever a user or a device joins the appropriate AD group, it automatically pushes the desktop Central agent. It automatically rolls out all the required app and settings. And these are certain benefits the administrators can enable using our UEM solution. So in line to that, even if you want to get those benefits for the MacBooks as well, you do have policies under the MDM. You can go to management again. You have the profiles here, where under Mac profiles, you have a settings called AD asset binding. So this will help you to add your MacBooks to the appropriate Active Directory OUs as well. And you can choose whether you want to give access only when the Active Directory domain controller is reachable. So whenever a user tries to log into the MacBook, and if the Active Directory domain controller is not reachable, they'll not be able to sign in. And also you can choose which are the user groups which can be activated or which can be allowed to those MacBooks as well. So this way, you can create an AD asset binding policy to your MacBooks and tie it up so that the MacBooks, whichever the policy is being published to, they will be added to the appropriate OU and they will get access accordingly based on the settings. So when you choose mobile, even if the AD domain controller is inaccessible, the users can still log in. That's what the policy is about. So the first scenario I wanted to show you is about that. And second, is it possible to decide what data is being fetched? And is it also possible for the users to see the same information on the app? Yes, it is. So you can go to settings, device privacy, where you can modify and choose what data to be collected from the device end. So whether you want to collect the phone number, if not, you can choose do not collect. You want to know about location data, yes, you can collect and display. And whether you want to enable the complete wipe, if so, you can disable. So you can also choose whether you want to apply the above settings only to the corporate devices, not on personal device. You can uncheck the BYOD device types even. So this way, you can choose what details you collect and what actions can be done. And the same can also be seen on the MDM app. So when the users open the MDM app, they do see the options called device privacy, and the same can also be seen by them. It's like what information the administrators collect. Second, I want to notify my employees about the scheduled maintenance or about an emergency in bulk. So instead of chatting with the end users or notifying them via phone calls and all, you can make use of the announcement feature available within MDM2. So you do have two announcement sections, one for laptops, which is there under Tools tab. When you go to Tools tab, you have the announcement feature, which you can create it for Windows and MacBooks. You can go to announcement here, create a title, and be able to display. If you want to display the same to your mobile users as well, you have that under MDM Management tab. Say about a file submission or about an update on, like, say a fire mock drill is going to happen. If you want the users to evacuate and see, check the timings, and also you wanted to notify any information to your users, you'll be able to give the title and also choose what whether it is an alert or is it an information you're trying to pass on or is it an announcement about the upcoming holiday. So likewise, you can choose any of these icons and be able to display that to the users as well. And moreover, you can also get a confirmation if the users have read the announcement message and they need to click on OK or noted. Likewise, you can choose the content to be updated by the users in order to confirm they read the message. So likewise, user acknowledgement is also available for you to check on. That's something you can make use of it to notify the users about any information in bulk. And is there a way to take actions on the unattended devices? Yes, in case if you want to know which other device has been offline for over a period of time, you can go to the inventory tab to see about those informations. You have a filter available for you. The last contactor within a particular day, you can choose the devices which haven't contacted for up to 7 days. You can check that and be able to initiate the scan or be able to find out the location. In case if the device is decommissioned, you can make use of the device name and go to the enrollment tab to even remove the device from the portal, which will even free up the license for adding more devices into the solution. That might also help you for it. So these are certain settings you can make use of it under the inventory tab to know about the inactive devices and take actions accordingly. All right, now we'll discuss about some of the live question and answers which has been posted in the group. Even if you have any more queries, feel free to post them in the chat. And let me quickly go through the questions which has been posted earlier, and let me show you the answers for it even. Let me discuss on the answers for it. All right, there is a question mentioned about if you don't manually schedule a periodic scan, how often does an automatic scan occur? So when it comes to Desktop Central inventory, so whenever when the machine is turned on, that will happen, a differential scan will happen and it will pose a status. And whenever there is a hardware change, even at that particular time, inventory scan will be posted to the devices. And is it possible to create a group as per the company department? Yes, when it comes to grouping, you do have an options to create based on the requirement. Even you can go to admin tab. You have custom group where you can create a group based on 3 categories. Either you can manually create a group by adding the required missions by dragging and dropping them like this. If not, you can set a criteria where whichever computer comes under this criteria or falls under this criteria will form a group even. And you can make use of these custom groups for a patch deployment or a software installation task, or even like last we discussed about the announcement. Even if you want to notify the announcement only to a particular group of users, you do make use of these options. And let me check if there is any MDM related question that's been posted so far. So what's the difference between the computer listed under the main inventory tab and the laptops or desktop that is displayed under the MDM tabs? There is no difference between the device information. Only if you have the unified endpoint license. I hope in Desktop Central there are different license categories we have. And so when it comes to UEM model, you'll be able, all these modules are considered to be a single license. So whatever devices you have, like whatever Windows 10, 11, and MacBooks you have under the Desktop Central inventory can also be managed within the MDM tab. And additional benefits are you'll be able to locate your laptops and be able to wipe these laptops. So that's an added advantage when you have UEM license and when you can bring your laptops even under the MDM management scope, which you can make use of it. That's the benefit for the administrators when you have UEM licensing. And if you enroll the same device in both the areas, will just take up 2 licenses. If you have UEM, not at all, so just 1 license per device, and you can make use of all those modules like patching, inventory, imaging, MDM even. And when it comes to Wi-Fi profile, if you want to make use of the AD credential, as of now, it's not supported, but you can raise as a feature request, which can be passed over to our product management team and which can be implemented in the upcoming futures event. All right. So if you have any more queries, please feel free to post them in the chat and we'll be able to answer it. And if you would like to have a personalized demonstration event where you want to discuss about your setup, how you want to configure the Desktop Central solution based on your business need, or you want to discuss about the network architecture, how you want to plan and implement the product, you please feel free to post them in the chat for a personalized demonstration where our team can help you in scheduling with one of the senior technicians even based on the available timing. And moreover, you'll also see a link in the upcoming slides to register for a demonstration as well. If you like a training program, please rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, and 5 being the best. And as I mentioned, you can also spread your word if you like the training using the hashtag desktop center or / free training in these social media platforms. And the next training schedule, it will be about the OS provisioning and remote management of endpoints, which is going to happen on May 4th. And there will be 2 sessions, one at 6:30 GMT and 11:30 Eastern Time, which you can also make use of it. And as I mentioned, if you like to have a scheduled personalized demonstration, please make use of the URL updated here. If you will also post a request in the chat box, our team will get in touch with you. Thanks again for your time. Please feel free to reach us for any more queries. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruben. Thank you, everyone, for your valuable time. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful day ahead. Bye now.